Alex Lawson is here with us today. Alex, thanks for joining us. It's always a joy to have you on to talk about the case with Social Security. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for having me on.
Alex, as you know, if you were watching this show, is the executive director of Social Security Works. Alex, I understand there have been some calls on the Social Security Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner to step down. What is going on, and why must we get rid of these people?
Yeah, so there have been a lot of calls for Commissioner Andrew Saul and Deputy Commissioner David Black to step down. We're actually calling on Biden to fire them because it's fully within his power to fire them. There's so much malfeasance is the word that is necessary for Andrew Saul. But I mean, the man is made out of malfeasance. He tries to destroy the program with every waking breath of his. David Black is the deputy commissioner. There's nothing protecting him at all. He doesn't even have a clause where you have to find malfeasance. So Biden's got to get rid of these guys. And let me just paint a little bit. And I actually think your audience are some of the most informed on this because we've talked about it. Andrew Saul is actually just like a dilettante. He doesn't care. He's just this rich dude. He's always been rich, and he just feels like he is entitled to some position in the government. And then he does what he's supposed to do. And what he's supposed to do
by President Trump, or when did he get involved here?
These are the Trumpists of Trumpists. And so he was put in place to be a fox in charge of the hen house, or whatever you want to say. He's an arsonist in charge of the fire station. His goal is to destroy the program. He's not smart enough to do it, and that's why they put David Black in as his deputy. Oh, can I just tell a story about Andrew Saul just so people get who he is?
Please,
This is amazing.
we love it.
Amazing. So he was on some board in it's just true. He's rich. And so he feels like, oh, I should be on the commission to do whatever. And that's sort of, he's been doing that for decades now.
Why
so at
do
one point he was
people just think they should just be, they're important or intelligent?
Yeah, they feel it's their right. They're like, this is what I do. So he was serving on some transportation board in New York. He's a New York City guy. And he was riding his bike, and he did something illegal on a bike, and a bike cop pulled him over and was giving him a citation, and he pulled out his business card, and then he lied to the cop, and he said, do you know who I am?
He did the you know who I am?
He literally pulled a full do you know who I am, and he lied, and he's like, I can't remember the exact thing, if it was transportation commissioner or something like, but he was like, do you know who I am? I am the bike lane commissioner of New York City. And he tried to get out of this bike ticket by lying and pulling a do you know who I am? And he didn't. The cop was like, get out of here. And there's a story there. So just so you understand who Andrew Saul is. He never moved to Baltimore, where SSA is located. Social Security Administration has 70,000 people who work for it. Trillions of dollars come through this. This man didn't even go to the headquarters. He didn't log in to his email for 6 months after he got the job. This is who he is. He's a dilettante, but he knows what he's supposed to do, right? He's Louis DeJoy, the guy at who's wrecking the postal service, and in Social Security, and the reason is it's ideologically they want to destroy the things that people see that connect them with their government, right? The post office and Social Security. These are pieces of the federal government, in many places the only pieces that people would interact with. Now, David Black is the brains of the operation. Saul is not smart enough to do it on his own, so David Black comes up with all of the actual policies of how you undermine this system from the inside.
Can I just pause here for just a brief second, because my mind is still on the bike lane guy. Can he just pay the citation? If he's so rich, why does he even bother fighting it?
Why do they think that they're entitled to these things, Julianna?
Right? I mean, it's freaking thing. It's what is it, $60? I mean, you have 15 million.
he's just the type guy who just is. He's the "Do you know who I am" guy, right?
Do you know who I am? Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to go back there, but it's been in my mind. Like, why wouldn't they just be like, okay, pay?
Well, remember, I keep saying he's not smart enough to pull it off on his own. That's what it is. He's born into this position, and it's the problem with concentrated money. Is that concentrated money doesn't accrue to those like to the most capable and brilliant people. It's just random, and when you do that, you're going to have a bunch of people like Andrew Saul who feel like, "Do you know who I am?"
I taught at a number of universities. Some where people who are poor, poor people or economically marginalized people got their shot at going to school, and there were problems with that, but they were working hard. And then I taught at a university where it was like the sons and daughters of the rich. It was just this exact same thing. They didn't try hard. They just thought they deserved the grade. They basically spent all your time lobbying for a grade they didn't earn. And they were super entitled and also not that smart. It's crazy town out there in the world. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to Social Security.
So it's no, I mean, you see it all over though, right? Like this is just a problem.
They can't even understand Social Security. Like people need this.
They don't get it at all.
To live.
Yeah, they don't get it at all. They don't exist in the same world that the vast majority of Americans exist in. They are the reason that the "let them eat cake" thing resonates is because it's so real. That's this echelon of elites where they're just Wall Street plutocrats. Now, keep on the bike lane thing, because there's another person so those people can't do anything on their own, right? They would not be able to order a pizza because they don't do that. They've got people for it.
It's like when George Bush went to the grocery store. They asked him like how much milk costs. He's like, what?
I do not know. I have people who do that for me. David Black, the deputy commissioner, that's Andrew Saul's people. David Black would have paid the ticket. Right. He's the guy who's not going to make a fuss. He's not going to get headlines made about him by making a fuss. He's going to pay the ticket, and then he'd work behind the scenes to get that cop fired or whatnot. That's what David Black is. He's actually a bureaucratic warrior. He exists in the bureaucracy. He knows how to use the bureaucracy, and he's wielding it against the people. So what he's done is created a giant armada of bureaucratic battleships trying to stay with the armada, but they're hurdles, right? So what he's doing is he's making everything harder for people, and that's what a bureaucrat can really do. So close offices, reduce the number of people who are seen in offices so that wait times explode, right? So then people start getting really pissed off about everything. And these are kind of the things
they're mad at the government. They direct that ire at the government.
And they don't direct it at David Black because they don't even know who he is, because this guy paid his bike ticket, right? Like his name never made its way out.
Right. Or the wealthy people who, get into power and then appoint the David Blacks. They don't get the people who are waiting in the long lines often do not point fingers in the right direction.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. And so right now where the fingers are being pointed is at Joe Biden. These are the guys who delayed the relief checks, right? So relief checks went out. It's Joe Biden's, the rescue checks, right? I mean, it's like this big deal.
I never got mine.
And they delayed. So for people on Social Security and SSI, they were specifically hived off and they did not get their checks. And they're not mad at Andrew Saul and David Black who did it, because they don't know these guys' names. They're mad at Joe Biden, which is why we're so emphatic about them firing them, because everything that they're doing is designed to destroy the program and blame it on Joe Biden. So just one other specific thing, there is this, this is how bureaucratic war is waged on our benefit and what we've built. It's through regulations and rules and things that are like, that's boring and in the weeds. But there's this muscular skeletal regulation that just, it seems like maybe when you read it, you're like, I don't know, does that seem okay? What it's designed to do is to make it much harder for people who have worked jobs with backbreaking labor, right? So people who build cars, people who are on their feet all day long, nurses and care providers lifting heavy patients. And over a lifetime of work, they literally destroy their back and they cannot work anymore. They become disabled due to a lifetime of backbreaking labor. This is real. They make it much harder to use that to get the benefits. And then really dangerously, Joe Biden puts in, his budget, this great number for Social Security. Like, we're going to get all this money for the Social Security Administration, and we're really happy, right? Like, our press release should be out there from, with bells on, but it's not, because this money is going to David Black and Andrew Saul. And there are line items in there that's called program integrity that if it were Biden's people, we would be like, okay, let's talk about that. But we know what that means for these guys. And what it means is use this regulation. So these are Trump appointees. And this regulation, the musculoskeletal one, is a Trump era regulation that's made its way through. So you have Trump appointments with a Trump regulation, and now Biden's money to implement that. You see, that's the danger. So now these guys are going to be denying benefits to people who desperately need them and have earned them. But no one's going to point the finger at these guys, right? Like, you don't know the names of the bureaucrats. You know the president. The buck stops with him. And
why hasn't he gotten rid of them?
A lot of things are going, I mean, this is me reading the tea leaves. It's just prioritization, because it's like, oh, well, I don't think it's that big a deal. The checks are still going out. Social Security is such a robust system. What can they really do? And on the other hand, it's the same thing at the post office.
But how hard could it be? Check. They're out. Send them a letter. Get a new guy. I mean, he has a staff. It's not like Biden's going to do interviews at his Oval Office desk.
That's what we're saying. And I feel like it's just a prioritization, and like the Office of Personnel, they're trying to figure out, it's all new. And so we were generally pretty nice for the first quarter. And now we're like, too late. Now it's all on you. And this is we're trying to surface this problem. We're like, that's an iceberg and it's headed right at you. And it's going to hit seniors. Like, they got one solid body blow in by delaying those checks, right? So like, you already are going to have millions of people who are like, I don't know why I got put on the pay no mind list. Why did I get put to the back of the line on my relief check? That's Joe Biden. And they're going to bring that into the midterms. And that's what you leave enemies behind the line. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to attack you. They're going to stab you in the back. And they're going to try to create a situation where, the right-wing arsonists take power back. And they feel they can wait it out. So with truth tellers like yourself, we have to make that not the case. We have to get the word out there and get this to Joe Biden. Fire David Black immediately. He's got no protection. Fire Andrew Saul for cause, the malfeasance he's made out of it. If you just Google his name, you'll find all these scandals. Get rid of these guys. Let some acting people take charge for a while, right?
And then some senators, right, who are working on this. Some Democratic senators, Bob Casey.
Absolutely. So there's no one who supports them of constituencies that matter on this. It started, I'll just say that House Ways and Means were the ones who just caught them on the delaying the check. And just said, they actually put that you got 24 hours to rectify this, or, we're going to haul you up before Congress. And they did it. They got 24 hours. They sent the file over to IRS and they were like, whoopsie-daisy, right?
Sorry, it was an oversight.
Sorry, it was
busy evading bicycle tickets.
Exactly. They're very busy evading bicycle tickets. But so you have John Lawson, who is the committee chair of Social Security in the House. You have Sherrod Brown, who is the chair of the Social Security Committee in the Senate. You have Bob Casey, who is the Aging Committee chair in the Senate. And you have dozens of other members who have signed on to it. But like those committees have jurisdiction. That's, those are the Social Security committees. You also have both of the senators in Maryland, which is where Social Security is located, calling for the ouster of these guys. You have both of the unions, and the unions don't naturally get along with each other. So like that both of them agree that these guys are toxic, that's unparalleled. The disability community is, these are mortal enemies. They tried to put through a regulation in the twilight of the Trump era. They, as hard as they could, they tried to get through this regulation that would have allowed them to rip benefits away from people. So not just make it hard to get, but to take them, to steal their benefits.
Wow.
So across the board, seniors, people with disabilities, the unions who represent the workers, all of the members of Congress who have relevant jurisdiction, these guys got no friends. And so then it's just, again, the question of why hasn't Biden acted yet?
Well, what can we do? We have to call
your senators. Yeah.
Yes.
Call your senators, call your member of Congress, tweet.
And say, get rid of the Social Security commissioner and the deputy commissioner. That's what we're asking for. Hurry up.
Just fire them. They are bad news for us, and they're bad news for you. I think social media, if you're on social media, tag in the president, the vice president, and the White House chief of staff. We have fire Saul and Black is the hashtag that we use. You'll see that it's out there. It has trended, and this stuff is visible to them. Bob Casey and Sherrod Brown and John Lawson are sort of taking the lead on it. So if you're in Pennsylvania, Ohio, or Connecticut, reaching out to them is a good idea.
All right. I'll get my phone rolling it right after this interview. Very good. This is very good. Alex, so you have full trust that if the Biden administration ousts these two, they're going to put in someone who will secure Social Security or even expand it? Your thoughts?
I think Biden is on record that he wants to expand it. That's where the center of the Democratic Party is. It's not, it's like a very mainstream issue. So I have faith that I want you to get how bad these guys are. Like, I don't actually know if I could think of worse people for it, right? Like Andrew Saul, again, he's sort of like meh. But David Black is, I don't think you could put, like, I think he's worse than all the other people I can think of. So
where did he come from? Like, what was he doing before being rich and wanting to destroy Social Security?
Oh, that's it. So Andrew Saul was rich. That's what he did. But he served on a variety of boards.
Right. You mentioned that.
Yeah, variety of boards under both Bush and Obama. And this is sort of like the culmination of that. David Black has been in the bureaucracy for years. I actually don't know if it's decades, but I believe it is. And so he's been there.
Destroy it from within for years.
Yep.
How come no one got rid of him beforehand, like Obama or however long he's been in there?
Did you read that story about the guy at NIH? He's a government employee. He works at NIH, and he was in his free time, which was actually from work. It was not his free time. He was running like the largest anti-vaccination pro-Trump Twitter account. Really? You can Google it because he got caught and Well, that guy still has his job, right? Like,
yeah, and then he brings a level of trust because he could say, "I'm from the NIH," and I.
But he was pushing like crazy stuff. But the thing is, these people know how to survive. Some of them, they know how to survive. They're literally in there to advance their own ideological mission. And so they use the system, they wield the system against itself and against the public.
He's
So
probably not very popular at the Christmas and holiday bashes at the Social Security Administration.
I doubt he is. But you know what it is just they know how to use power, right? Like that's the big thing. A bureaucratic survivor like David Black knows how to, he can reward his friends and he can punish his enemies and he can build fiefdoms. And also a thing that happens, there are pieces of the bureaucracy that have been taken by the right wing, by Republicans, and have never switched back. So like there's huge parts of the Social Security Administration at the top who are still from the Bush era and have been there forever. And Obama didn't ever appoint a commissioner. So he actually allowed Bush's commissioner in there for a bunch of years and then never appointed his own. There was only an acting commissioner. And so it's really has been at Social Security, it really has been a Republican, a right-wing fiefdom for a while.
Wow.
Wielding the system against itself.
Wow. Wow. So important. Alex Lawson, Executive Director of Social Security Works. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to go call my representative right after I get off this. After I get off this interview, I encourage everyone to go and call theirs. Final words, Alex, as we continue to fight this fight.
Yeah, you can find us at socialsecurityworks.org. Stay involved, stay up to date on this fight and a bunch of others.
Thank you so much. You're watching ACT TV. Stay with us for more information on the fight. I'm Julianna Forlano.